It was a frosty evening here in southern Illinois, the roads icy and the air bitingly cold. It was the kind of night that compels you to drive very carefully and slowly so that you won't lose control of the car. As I turned the heater up and crept along, I spied an elderly man walking in the frozen grass by the side of the highway. Hunched shoulders and gray head bent, his slight frame struggled against the wind. "I've seen him walking here before, Jesus," I said aloud. Should I offer him a ride? It wasn't a habit of mine to pick up strangers, especially at night. But I had peace in my heart about this guy, and I knew that wind must be knifing right through his thin jacket. I pulled up beside him and rolled down my window. "Do you need a ride?" I asked. He hesitated, then said, "I live 2 miles that way." He pointed up the road. His beard was unkempt and most of his teeth were missing, but his eyes were clear and unclouded. "That's the direction I'm headed," I said. "Come on in." The old man finally climbing into the passenger seat, arranging his skinny legs in front of him. "My name is Gene," I told him as he buckled his seatbelt. "I'm Helmut," he said. On the short drive, he explained how he'd lost his job as a pizza delivery man a few months earlier when the local Italian restaurant had closed. He'd used their truck, but now had no form of transportation except walking. When I asked about his European accent, Helmut said he'd emigrated here from Austria as a young man. After saving every spare shilling for years, he'd traveled to the U.S., intent on personally thanking the UCLA professor who'd sponsored him as a young student in Salzburg. Once he arrived in Los Angeles, he discovered the professor had moved to New York. Helmut worked for 6 months at minimum wage to earn enough money for a bus ticket across the country. As he told me the story, there wasn't a hint of struggle or resentment. He sounded happy to share his history with me. I looked into those blue eyes, my own moist with wonder. "Wait, so you came all the way to the U.S.?" I asked, my voice trembling, "and then traveled from L.A. to New York City just to say thank you?" "Yes, of course," Helmut said, smiling. His voice was warm with gratitude, and he continued. He had sent my family money for years so I could attend school and have clothes and food. If it were not for him, I'd be a poor man. We approached a shambles of a house I'd often noticed many times as I passed it. I'd often wondered who lived there and noticed that it needed paint, a new roof. "Right here. This is where I live," Helmut said, pointing at that dilapidated house. "Do you own this home?" I asked. "Believe it or not, the previous owner gave it to me when he couldn't keep up the repairs," Helmut said, shrugging. "That was 10 years ago." I looked at the sagging roof, the dead trees, and the boarded-up windows, and I wondered how Helmut viewed his home. He just said in so many words that he was grateful for his life and regarded himself as a wealthy man. As Helmut thanked me for the ride, stepped out into the bitter cold night and waved goodbye, I thought about my full closet, my lovely home, and all the material things I enjoyed. I knew all of these good things were blessings from Jesus, and I knew I often take them for granted. Helmut's gratitude convicted me of doing so. "Lord, forgive me," I whispered. "Thank you for teaching me tonight about true gratitude." I saw that although I have more possessions than Helmut has, my new friend had just shown me the true riches of a grateful heart.